Crazy Town, the return of Joey Baby. Roll it.
Oh, boy.
There we go.
I got elected when I was 29 years old in the United States Senate from a very modest background, and I was there for 36 years before becoming vice president. We always used to fight like hell, and even back in the old days when we had real segregationists like Eastland and Thurman.
It's like they're online.
Your friends.
It's like they're online at the deli, and these two.
Today, we're joined by leaders of some of the biggest manufacturers in the country: GE, Siemens Energy, Honeywell, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, to announce a new initiative that is going to bury that label for good, the Rust Belt. The pandemic and the economic crisis that we inherited and Putin's war in Ukraine have all shown the vulnerability when we become too reliant on things made overseas. If I can slow here for just a second and point out that, I didn't realize, I've been a senator for a long time and a vice president for 8 years. I didn't realize there was an act passed back in 1939. It was called Buy American. I didn't know it existed. It's totally within the bounds of negotiated deals on trade. Today's job report shows our plans and priorities have produced the strongest job creation in the modern times of the American economy. And unlike previous administrations, where the deficit went up, every single year we've reduced the deficit. Last year, with all we've done, we've reduced the deficit. We reduced the deficit by a total of $350 billion. Let's reduce the deficit last year. And this year, by the end of the fiscal year, by October 1st, we will reduce this year's deficit by $1,500 billion. Because of my economic strategy, companies and jobs are coming home again. And in small and large towns across America, they bring quality jobs and middle-class jobs to people. If you again excuse me to digress a second, when I ran, I made it clear, and I have no bones about it. I was a senator for 36 years, so I'm not new to this. I'm tired of trickle-down economics. I'm a capitalist. Let's get this Bipartisan Innovation Act to my desk. And look, folks, pass the damn bill and send it to me. If we do, it's going to help bring down prices, bring home jobs, empower America's manufacturing comeback. And we're also going to help reduce costs and strengthen our economic and national security. It's no wonder the Chinese Communist Party is literally paying lobbyists against this bill passing. If note parenthetically again, I have spent, according to international folks, I spent more time with Xi Jinping, the leader of China, than any other world leader has. Since I was vice president, he was vice president of China. And you know what? He makes it real clear. He believes, like other autocrats around the world, that democracies can't compete in the 21st century.
He's wandering off.
I was in the Tibetan plateau with Xi Jinping, with a translator. We each had a translator. And by the way, for the record, I turned all my notes over. He says it straight up with me, that there is no way for democracies to compete with autocracies. Why? Because we have to reach a consensus when we're in a democracy. And it takes time.
Why would they give him a wireless microphone and let him
autocrats
wander?
can move immediately.
He starts climbing.
They don't have to wait. Well, guess what? So far, the last decade, he's been right. And by the way, I showed up at a meeting called the G7,
the
largest economies in the world meet. And guess what? Two of them said to me that they thought that America's days were over as leader. I sat down at the meeting, the first meeting I attended. I have one on Saturday, but the first meeting I attended in England. And I had all the major G7 nations there, including two nations that were not members, including India. And I said, America's back. And the president of one of the major companies looked at me and said, for how long? For how long? Not a joke. You guys know. And I mean, these guys are sophisticated as hell. You know, there's a thing for the Democratic Institute.
To them because they're the only two people there.
Of all the heads of state of democratic countries. We had to do it virtually from the White House. In the last 10 years, there's 15 fewer democracies.
It's like Colombo.
Fewer.
How much longer can
2 senators,
Not
by the
more,
way.
fewer.
Oh,
We're going to rebuild America. We're going to rebuild a better America. $1.2 trillion. Where are those two beautiful young girls? You see these young girls here?
oh boy.
They wrote me a letter
Oh, jeez.
about wanting me to help do more on trains.
Oh.
Well, guess what? Because the guys behind me, we have allocated more money for rail systems in America than the entirety of the Amtrak appropriation
here
began
we
the
go.
first. And I know about Amtrak. I've traveled 1.2 million miles on Amtrak. You get a kick out of this, Sherrod. I was, the Secret Service doesn't like me taking the train because it stops too many places.
Right.
And,
Yeah, me too.
and a guy named Angelo Negri, a conductor, senior conductor, walked up and said, "Joey, baby," grabbed my cheek. I thought he was going to shoot him. You know, they go, "Joey." I said, "Ange." I said, "He's okay. He's a friend." True story. So I know a lot about trains.
Not a joke.
I just told you about those computer chips in Intel. It's going to make them here in Ohio. Well, America invented those chips. And the federal investment from NASA and the military that kept fledgling chip industry alive because wages went up
The word is
5.5%. People wanted to buy things. But why couldn't they buy them?
Sugar's going
Because
down.
they couldn't make them. Why couldn't they make them? They didn't have the chips. And one more thing. I know how to say the word union.
It's cutting a WWE promo.
Guys, you don't have to watch 2,000 Mules. It was rigged.